The first thing you need to know about surviving the Hillbilly is about his base movement speed, which is actually on par with the Trapper and the Wraith while he's uncloaked, and several other killers in the game. Now, the Hillbilly's power is the Chainsaw. The Chainsaw allows him to move at a much faster speed, but it limits his mobility and steering. If the Chainsaw hits a survivor, it will put the survivor into the dying state. If you run into an obstacle while using the chainsaw, it will stun you. And you can also instantly break pallets using the chainsaw sprint. Now, the only tool that the Hillbilly has in catching you is with the chainsaw. And once you eliminate that one advantage that he has in trying to catch you, it's going to be hard for him to catch you. So the way that you want to do that is you want to put the Hillbilly in a situation where he cannot use the chainsaw against you. You don't want to run out in the open or in an area where it's going to be easy for him to hit you with the chainsaw. You generally want to stay in pretty tight and closed areas where he cannot get the chainsaw revved up fast enough to be able to hit you with it. Now, another thing you need to keep in mind when going against the Hillbilly is which perks he's going to be using. Now, the Hillbilly's perks are Lightborn, Enduring, and Tinkerer. The first one I want to talk about is Lightborn, which is actually the least useful out of the Hillbilly's 3 perks, because there's other perks in the game that are more useful, such as Franklin's Demise and Overwhelming Presence, which will generally work better than Lightborn. Lightborn basically just makes it harder for people to blind you with flashlights. The next perk I want to talk about is Tinkerer. Now, this perk is very, very useful on the Hillbilly, but with other killers, there's not really any point to using this on any other killers in the game. Tinkerer allows the Hillbilly to charge his chainsaw faster. Now, it doesn't work on other things about the chainsaw, such as the amount of noise that it makes, or your steering. It only affects the charge time of the chainsaw. This is definitely one of the Hillbilly's best perks, because if you're playing a proper Hillbilly, he's going to be using nothing but the chainsaw to take you down. And the last perk is Enduring, which I would say is probably the most useful out of the Hillbilly's 3 perks, because you can completely eliminate the survivor's mind game against you using Enduring. The survivors will not be able to pallet loop you, because you can take a swing at the survivor every time without fearing that you'll lose the survivor in the process. Now, the Hillbilly has some add-ons that you should be aware of, such as the Begrimed Chain, which will moderately decrease your repair speed, and you'll suffer from the Mangled status effect. The Mangled status effect means that it will take longer to heal yourself. Another add-on that you need to keep in mind is the Thompson's Moonshine, which will tremendously increase his steering while using the chainsaw, which will make it a lot easier for him to hit you with it. The last one is the Carburetor Tuning Guide, which does several different things, but the most important thing that it does is it decreases the charge time of the chainsaw, so he can rev it up and use it faster. I would say those are his best 3 add-ons. Now there's 3 survivor perks that I would say work pretty well against the Hillbilly. The first one is Stakeout. Because the Hillbilly is going to be using the chainsaw so often and dashing around the map very fast, usually it'll allow you to rack up a lot of tokens using Stakeout. The next one is Unbreakable, which allows you to get back up from the dying state once per match. Now, the reason that it's so good against the Hillbilly is because the Hillbilly is really good at slugging, which is trying to down all 4 survivors at the same time. And the last perk is Tenacity, which allows you to crawl faster and recover at the same time. And it's also even more useful if you combine it with Unbreakable. The most important thing to remember when going against the Hillbilly is your situational awareness. Don't allow him to catch you out in the open, in like an open field, where it's going to be easy for him to use the chainsaw. Always watch your surroundings and where you can run to block his direct line of contact with you. If you hear him starting to rev the chainsaw, run for the nearest obstacle you can find to block him. Hopefully this information will help you better understand the Hillbilly so that you can escape instead of getting killed. Thanks for watching.